We're on a journey into remote Central Africa where the global hunt for critical minerals vital to green energy is becoming intense. Along the way, we'll discover the source of one of Africa's great rivers, and we'll reveal America's ambitious plan to transform Africa from ocean to ocean. The word you need to know is Lobito. There are two major reasons I'm out here: the electric revolution and the rise of China. As I've reported on the geopolitics of green energy, electric vehicles, wind turbines, and battery storage for clean energy like solar all require minerals in huge quantities. A typical vehicle has 116 pounds of copper, 88 pounds of nickel, and about 40 pounds of cobalt. Zambia and the Democratic Republic of Congo next door have massive reserves of these minerals. This Canadian mining company, Barrick, is spending $2 billion to double its copper output and invited Zambia's business-minded president, Hakainde Hichilema, to celebrate. So how does China fit into this picture? Well, today, China dominates the global supply chain for most of these so-called critical minerals. China either is mining these minerals, including in Africa, or it's processing them for industrial use, or both. China's dominance is a risk for the United States and its allies in Europe and Asia, who need to build their future economies around this electric revolution. One way to reduce this risk: create a supply chain that you control from friendly mining countries. And that's where Lobito comes in. The line may extend to a huge new copper trove found using artificial intelligence by a company called Cobalt Metals that's backed by Microsoft founder Bill Gates. And this is the big idea. Along this rail line, you invest in solar, wind, and hydropower, high-speed internet, and of course, big commercial agriculture, so you can ship fruits, veggies, and grain fast to markets in Europe and America via the Atlantic, specifically the Atlantic port of Lobito. Clearly, this could change the usual way of taking minerals from Africa. Now, the old way is you dig up your copper, your cobalt, whatever it might be, you get it on a rail car, you get it into a truck and out to the coast for export just as soon as possible, with little value really added for the local population beyond the mine. Now, the Lobito Economic Corridor, in concept, would change that. Of course, it all depends on collaborative planning, the execution, and the monitoring of these investments to make sure they're actually plussing up the local economies. To venture into this remote area of Zambia, we'll leave our comfy lodge in Zambezi behind, get new tires for the rough road ahead, and, super important, top up our reserve tank. It may be a long way until we find fuel again. Out on the road, we pass through typical Zambian towns. Simple way of life. These are mostly farm communities with no idea of what's coming their way from Lobito. And before long, we're out into the green, very green countryside. And this is why we wanted those tires. These roads are much more jarring than this image-stabilized video makes it appear, and any hole or puddle could be hiding a very sharp rock that would stop our journey in an instant.
This area is so rich in rivers, streams, and wetlands that it was barely touched when Zambia had a 100-year drought earlier this year that just devastated its agricultural production. But this region is just water rich, so it can overcome even all those climate change impacts we're seeing with these shifting rainfall patterns. Now, when development comes in here around the Lobito Economic Corridor, the issue is going to be how to preserve this, how to balance all of these resources, the rivers, the forests, and all this clean air, and how to ensure that's preserved even while you're trying to do all this cool development throughout this region. Now, the people who are going to probably be instrumental in making that happen are the chiefs who rule over these traditional lands and whose people look up to them, revere them, and listen to them for social messaging and for guidance on basically how to live and how to develop. So it's the chiefs that are going to be key, I think, to that balance in the Lobito Economic Corridor. We're here right where this Lobito Economic Corridor literally comes together, where 3 countries are tied together. If I walk right over here, just 50 meters or less, I'm in the Democratic Republic of Congo. Right there in that bush. If I walk in there, I'm in Congo. 15 miles over here to the west, as the setting sun is behind me, is Angola. And I'm standing in Zambia. So here we are right now on the literal border of Zambia and the Democratic Republic of Congo. There we are. And right over here, about 15 miles, is the Angola-Zambia border. To get a better sense of Lobito, I talked to a district chief executive who's planning for it and counting on it.
Coming off the Lobito Corridor, it means a lot to the people of Ikeleng in that they will see a boost in their business, in the sense that Lobito provides a gateway to the other parts of the country, and not only the country but even the European market. The community for Ikeleng, especially for Ikeleng, they are into pineapple farming and also honey. Therefore, the coming of the Lobito will see an economic boost to these farmers that we have around, because they'll be able to export their produce to the world, actually, because the Lobito itself provides a gateway to the rest of the world.
Nowhere in Zambia do chiefs control more land than in northwestern province, where Chibwika and Kanangesha are among the biggest chiefdoms, each covering thousands of square miles. It's through their lands that the Lobito Railway and the investment zone will be built. In this part of Zambia, the chief to see when it comes to the Lobito Economic Corridor, maybe the Lobito chief even, is Chief Nakaseo, and I'm heading to his palace now. As we race toward the Angola border, Chief Nakaseo is way ahead of us. He's already transferred land to the government for a new border town and saved a few parcels for himself for future business. The weather changes in a flash as we reach Chief Nakasea's compound. So I had a great conversation with Chief Nakaseo. Now, he politely declined to go on camera, and I get it because his palace is under construction, and he had just come in from his farm business. He was in his overalls that he would wear to work every day. But the basic gist of the conversation was this. He said, look, we've got minerals still in the ground like gold and nickel. We've got this abundant and incredible farmland. We've got young people who need jobs. So we want to get some enterprises going. And the ports that we would deliver any goods to for export are way over in Tanzania or in South Africa right now. It's just too far. So it makes total sense for us to be exporting through Angola through this new rail line and the Lobito Economic Corridor. He said, look, we've already got cultural ties with across the border in Angola with brother chiefs and their populations. And we've been dealing with them, basically forever. So this is the way to go. It just makes sense to go west toward the Atlantic. So on Lobito, he is totally all in on this thing. One of President Biden's last official trips was to Angola, putting a spotlight on this huge Lobito initiative.
Imagine how transformative this will be for technology, clean energy, for farming, for food security as a whole. It's faster, it's cleaner, it's cheaper, and most importantly, I think, it's just plain common sense. So my message today is simple. Let's keep it up. All told, the United States has invested nearly $4 billion across the length of the Lobito Corridor. But we're not alone. Collectively, this group mobilized over $6 billion in private and public investments.
Now, this isn't just an American project. The European Union is backing Lobito too as a priority. In the big vision for Lobito, the rail corridor doesn't end in Zambia. In fact, it keeps chugging toward Africa's other coast, the Indian Ocean. In the 1970s, one of China's first big projects in Africa, under Mao Zedong, was building the Tazara Railway from Zambia to the port of Dar es Salaam in Tanzania. A half-century later, China plans to spend more than $1 billion to upgrade that line.
For the recognition of the importance of this corridor, and obviously the origination being in Angola here, through DRC, through Zambia, the map that we drew in my dingy office in Lusaka when Amos visited, and through that connection from Angola, which we believe will be Luau, into Kanongesha, on to Chingola, and then connecting that, very important, connecting that to the Tazara Corridor, which will really mean that we can connect our continent, this part of Africa, from the west coast in Lobito here where we are, through DRC, Zambia, into Tanzania. It's a huge, huge opportunity.
There's just one bit of unfinished business on this expedition, and it calls for yet another trip into the forest. After hiking deep into this area, you come to this spot, where a gurgle of water rises through a bed of leaves, and just a few feet away, a stream forms. As streams and tributaries combine, a great river emerges. For a time, it leaves Zambia and winds into Angola before circling back. Eventually, the Zambezi River approaches a cliff and creates Earth's greatest water spectacle, Mosi Otunya, or as you may know it, Victoria Falls. A mile long and 300 feet high, this immense cascade feeds into a gorge, and that's where you find Africa's most intense whitewater rafting. I know, because I've rafted it, and huge waves tossed me into the river twice. Captured behind this aging dam, the Zambezi generates electricity for Zambia and Zimbabwe. But when drought hits, the reservoir drops, and so does Zambia's power supply. It just happened recently. After the dam, the Zambezi settles down as a huge bath for hippos and empties into the Indian Ocean. But we need to head back to the Lobito Corridor for some final input.
By the way, my parents started this project 23 years ago. I took over 12 years ago, and I've been running Kwakwai Lodge for the past 12 years. We are coming from a Christian background, and I'm the second born in the family. So we've had good business for the past 10 years, and God is blessing us. I think Lobito, with the coming of Lobito, is going to improve our business. It's going to connect Mwenlunga, Congo, and Angola, and we are going to have more traffic coming to Mwenlunga, and that is going to improve our business.
You see any investors already coming through? Anybody who's come here and said, hey, where's Lobito?
Yeah, we've seen of late a lot of people are coming, asking about that, but the community is not aware about Lobito exactly, so we need to sensitize the community more about Lobito so that they can start preparing for the future and plan for the future.
Why do you think this connection to Angola, which is right next door to you, why have you been disconnected to Angola? It seems like the smartest thing to do to connect you.
We've disconnected of late because of the war which was happening in Angola. Now the war is over. That's why the government is trying to link Congo, Angola, and Zambia so that we can have good business.
In fact, some investors already are getting in position. A European looking for farmland, an Asian seeking to mine limestone for concrete. These are some of the investors we've heard are already out there. Lobito is driving early action for those who know the plan. This intense road trip has come to a messy end. It's time to leave this beautiful corner of Zambia behind, along with the Lobito Economic Corridor, and head back to the big city.